Hey everyone, my name is John Williams with Kimberly Nurseries. Today we're going to talk about how to care for a newly hydroseeded lawn. Hydroseeding a new lawn can be an efficient and cost-effective way of establishing the lawn for your property. It does require a bit more dedication and patience, but hydroseed can lead to a good, strong, healthy lawn area. Hydroseeding is the process of mixing grass seed with fertilizer and a fiber mulch into a slurry and then spraying that slurry out over the lawn area. The fiber mulch helps to act as a cover for the seed to help protect it from birds, and it also helps hold moisture and keep that moisture close to the seed to help in the germination process. Most of the grass seeds that we use in our area are a blend of Kentucky bluegrass and perennial ryegrass. The perennial ryegrass is a really fast germinator, oftentimes germinating within just a couple of days of application, whereas Kentucky bluegrass can take up to 30 days to fully germinate. Oftentimes the perennial ryegrass will grow and act as a cover crop for the Kentucky bluegrass, but in our area the Kentucky bluegrass is the stronger grass and will ultimately take over and be the primary grass for your lawn. Patience is a key component for hydroseeded lawn areas. The installation window is much shorter for seed than it is for sod. Soil temperatures need to be above 60 degrees for grass seed to start germinating, and in our area that typically ends up being around the end of April, beginning of May. It's also such where you don't want to seed too late in the year. Usually after about mid-September, there isn't enough time for the grass seed to germinate and start growing and get established before the frost and the winter set in. It also takes quite a bit of time for a newly seeded lawn to become established. Typically it can take anywhere from a full growing season to 2 full growing seasons to get fully established. Don't be surprised if after just a few months of the grass growing, you still see little patches of soil. Kentucky bluegrass spreads by sending out underground stems called rhizomes, and when those stems get close to the surface, they send up a new little grass clump. And it's that process of all of these grass clumps growing and knitting together with their underground stems that establishes a nice lush lawn area. That typically can take a year to 2 years to fully accomplish. Watering your newly seeded lawn is a key component to its success. This typically involves watering for short periods of time, 4 to 5 times a day. The key to watering is to apply enough water to keep your fiber mulch and the seed moist without creating puddles or washing the soil out. Consistent and even watering will help promote steady growth of your new grass seed, but uneven watering will often cause sparse or thin spots. Grass doesn't grow well underwater, so if there's puddling, the grass seed oftentimes won't grow in those areas. And if the watering is too heavy and causes washouts, the grass seed is washed into other areas, and so you have areas where there's no grass seed and other areas where there's an abundance of grass seed. It's also important to not underwater your new lawn areas. Underwatering can cause your new grass seed to germinate and start growing, and then if it dries out, those new seedlings can shrivel and die. As the grass grows, it's important to adjust your watering schedule. After about a month, rather than watering 4 to 5 or even 6 times a day, you're going to want to turn that down so you're only watering 2 to 3 times a day. And then as that grass seed continues to mature, maybe after a couple of months, you're going to want to turn that time down even further. It's very common with a newly seeded lawn to have weed seeds germinate and grow alongside your grass seed. And much of the time, the weed seeds often grow faster than your grass does. Try not to be discouraged, this is very normal. The weed seedlings and the grass seedlings can oftentimes grow together with very few problems, but there may be cases where spot weed control is needed. If you need to spot weed control your lawn, it's best to turn off the sprinklers for a period of time and let that ground dry out and firm up a bit. And then go out and very carefully pull those weed seeds and be very careful to disturb the grass seedlings as little as possible. And don't forget, after you've finished doing your weed control, don't forget to turn your water back on. After about 4 weeks of having your grass seed installed, it's going to be time for your first mowing. Mowing is typically the best way for weed control in a new lawn. Weeds typically grow from the tip of the plant outward, whereas grass will grow from the base of the plant up. So with mowing, you're cutting the top of the plant or the growing area off, and the plant has to reconfigure how it's growing. Whereas with grass, you're just giving it a haircut and it continues to grow. If possible, it's best to use a push-type mower when mowing your new lawn. This just helps prevent ruts and damage to the new grass seedling. It's typically a best practice to cut your grass at about 2.5 inches tall and then continue that mowing each week. This helps to keep the weeds at the same height as the grass and reduces the amount of competition they offer. It's also important not to apply any weed control chemicals until about 8 weeks after the lawn installation or after you've mowed 4 times. Fertilizer is also a key component of a successful seeded lawn. When Hydroseed is applied, we typically install fertilizer along with it. It's very common to see a newly seeded lawn germinate really well and start growing and then stall out after about a month. An application of fertilizer at this time will really give your lawn a fresh boost. We typically recommend a 16-16-16 fertilizer applied at this time. This fertilizer application can happen at the same time as your first mowing, and then you'll want to continue fertilizing about every 6 to 8 weeks through the season. Typically that's in the early spring, mid-spring, mid-summer, and then in fall. A good fertilizer program can really help your lawn be healthy and strong, which helps reduce the amount of weeds that can grow in it, and then also it can help reduce disease and other lawn pests that can get into your lawn area. Hydroseeding can be a great and cost-effective way to establish a new lawn area. If we can help you with some hydroseeding, or if you need some help adjusting your sprinklers or watering times, please don't hesitate to give us a call and we'd be happy to help.